don't get too involved in another person's affairs. Don't get too involved in it, guys. And this is something that you have to, as believers and as Christians, sometimes we tend to go head first into other people's affairs and things that they have going on. Especially if you have a caring heart, you can get really caught up. But you have to realize that you can't get too involved. I'm not talking about a minor and things of that nature. I'm talking about when sometimes another person, another believer, and they may not even be a believer, they come to you and they're telling you about some things that's going on in their lives and things that they're experiencing. And sometimes you can find yourself being completely engulfed and involved in what they have going on, to the point that you're in over your head. And sometimes, ironically, you can be so involved that the person that got you involved in the first place is being so laid back about it and making you feel like you're doing too much. Sometimes, have you ever been trying to help somebody? They brought you in a situation and you're trying to help them out, and then they're telling you, chill, or you're doing too much, or they start getting an attitude with you, especially when you are speaking to them about the truth and taking steps in the right directions. There's sometimes people that they just want to talk. They just want to tell you what's going on. Sometimes they just want to offload their frustrations. Sometimes they just want to speak. They want to talk about the situation, but they're not going to change anything. Excuse me. This thing just fell. They want to, I hate to put it like this sometimes, just dump on you. You're just hearing everything that's going on, but you know what? They don't want to change. They don't want to take the steps that it takes to change. And when you are speaking to them objectively, and sometimes they just want you to tell them what they want to hear. But if you're speaking to them from a place of truth, you're telling them about the consequences of their actions, how they can change things, and pointing them in that direction. At first, it may seem like they're receiving it, but after a while, you find out, no, they're really not. There are people that will want to come and keep telling you the same things over and over again, and you're giving them money and you're helping them out and you're giving them money, and before you know it, you find you are giving them so much money all the time. But the minute you can't give it to them, it's a problem. The minute you're directing them in another, you're saying, hey guys, you need to take another step, you'll see that that'll be a problem. As long as you're telling me what I want to hear, then we're good. But if not, it's a problem. And sometimes you're in too deep. You got to pull yourself out of that. Don't get too involved. There's nothing worse than when you're in a friendship and you know of someone that's in a bad relationship and things are going on, and you're trying to help them, but they keep going back, or they keep staying, and so you're getting really emotional and frustrated and heartbroken and losing sleep over what this person is choosing to go back to. And you want to help them, but they have to want to help themselves more. Sometimes people are in situations where it just hasn't reached that place. They haven't reached their breaking point. It haven't gotten bad enough yet. And you don't want it to get to that point. But sometimes that's what it's going to take for them to learn. And sometimes you got to pull out of that. How to do this and the balance in doing that, God will show you. Sometimes you'll be there for a season. You're there to speak to them. You've spoken to them. You've given them the word of God. You've given them encouragement. You've given them emotional support, financial support, verbal support. You've done all these things to help them. And you're talking to them. You've picked them up. You've given them rides to wherever place they need to go to. You've done all these things. You've been really involved. They've stayed at your house. You've stayed with them. You went with them to all these different places, and yet they're just still where they're at. They're not changing. Nothing is changing. It's getting worse. This is where you have to let go. And they have to learn, because sometimes they're not learning and sometimes they're not changing, because you're always giving them a way out. You're just totally involved in their lives and in the things that they're doing. And they can always fall back on you. And again, I said before, the other people, they get an attitude with you. They want you to listen. They want to pour out on you and everything, drain you emotionally, but don't tell me any truth. I don't want to hear anything about how I can change. I don't want to hear anything of how I could be better. I don't want to accept these avenues and these steps that you're giving me that I can actually be better and be in a better place. You have people that are used to running from place to place, place to place to place. They want you to listen to their story. They want you to hear everything that they're going through. They want you to be there for them emotionally, spiritually, financially, in every way, but they don't really want to change. And the minute you're telling them something that they don't want to hear, they will turn on you. Or if they'll make you tell you, it's my life, it's my business, after they've involved you so much, or accuse you of being too much involved. But at the same time, when things hit the fan and things are going really bad, they get you involved. But they want to sort of control how much involvement you have, while constantly bringing you in the midst of it. You're too involved. Don't get yourself too caught up in these things. You have to realize or know, you're not God. You can't make these changes. And this person have to want God bad enough. Sometimes because you're in the midst of everything so much, they never get to the place where they totally cry out to God in full abandon. Because you come in and you intercept. Or they may be at that place where they cry out to God, but they call you first. Instead of crying out to God, they call you first. And so you fill that void, and you're a temporary filler for those moments. And so they kind of relax and they, you know what, you made me feel better. Don't get involved. Don't get too involved. They must want to change. They must want to turn around. Sometimes that change is only going to come when they are on their own, standing on their own 2 feet and crying out and calling out to God on their own and taking those steps that they need to take. Sometimes as long as you're giving them money and you're supporting them, they're not going to get to that place they need to be. They're not going to change. They're never going to grow up. And I'm not saying that you should not help people. But you have to be able to discern when it's time to let go, because sometimes instead of helping, you're enabling them. They know you're going to send them this money all the time. So you know what? They're not looking for a job. They need a place to stay. You open your doors to them. Have you ever had that individual? They have this whole situation of all that they went through and all the heartache and the pain and all the things that happened to them. And you open up your home and you help them, and then they don't want to work. Every opportunity to work is met with a reason why that supervisor is a problem, and why the place is too hot, and oh, it's too far, oh, the machinery is too noisy, oh, I don't get along with this person, because they have your house to stay in and you're going to keep giving them money. And then there are just other scenarios. It may not involve money at all, but a person that is just, or individuals that they continue to go down this path in where, to the point that some of you're losing sleep, you're getting sick, you're getting stressed, you're not getting enough sleep. And no matter what you're telling the person, no matter how much word you're giving them, no matter how much guidance you're giving them, they're not accepting it. They keep going back to those same things in those same places. And all that's going to happen, you're going to open up yourself, your home, your family, even to situations that can be dangerous. Because you got involved in their situation and that person's living however they want to live, whatever principalities and powers that's been tormenting them will begin to torment you. And it's not that we're supposed to be afraid to get into the trenches with our brothers and sisters in the Lord, but it's completely different when you're getting involved with someone who is in another setting, inviting darkness in their life, while coming to you in another scenario when it gets hard, or when they're reaping they're getting the ramifications of their choices. They want to get you involved. You got to know the difference. In all of it, the best thing is to lead people to God. You want to lead them to God. There's no way that God is not going to work for them. If God is not working for them and God can't save them, you better know for sure you can't do it. And then you also have to have the discernment to know when sometimes people are experiencing things because of their disobedience. And all that's happening is they are getting the consequences of their actions, and the only way they're going to turn and they're going to learn is to go through that process and to cry out to God and turn wholeheartedly back to Him. Whatever scenario you're in, I'm going to encourage you to use wisdom and know that sometimes you're too far in, you're too involved. You're too far in and you're too involved in a matter that you should not be in. And you are only supposed to be involved up to a certain period of time. Know when to let go. Know when to let go of the reins and trust the Lord completely with the matter at hand. All right, guys.